everybody, welcome to a special episode of Top of the Pod / Irish Wrestling Podcast. We're here to talk about Wrestlemania. We're here to talk about, if you can see behind us, the Masters of the Universe series that's on Netflix. If you've seen it, make sure you go and watch it if you haven't. This is we're back to Masters as we originally like it. I'm not sure if anybody watched the previous season on Netflix before this one, but we're going to talk about the new season anyway. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about Wrestlemania. We're here with Jonathan Davenport and Robert Adams from Main Event Gear. Anybody doesn't know who these guys are, if you've seen WrestleMania, if you watch wrestling at all, both these guys collaborate together. Jonathan designs all the gear. Robert and Patrick from Main Event Gear, they make all the gear for all, as many wrestlers as you can see on TV most times. Some of the gear during WrestleMania was stupendous. I really loved the DIY collaboration that the lads did for DIY Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. So we're going to talk a bit about WrestleMania before we get into Masters of the Universe. Lads, we've been trying to get this podcast going for a couple of months, and just WrestleMania got in the way of everything. You are very busy. It's that time of the year. You're going to be busy. You've got multiple wrestlers on your books that you have to take care of. So I don't expect you to take care of me before you take care of them. They're your bread and butter. They're the guys who keep you going. So how was WrestleMania season for you? The build up between January and April. These were really busy designing gear and making gear for everybody. How was everything for Jonathan? I'll start with you. How was your WrestleMania season?
Oh yeah, piece of cake. No problem. Breezed right through. Definitely had time for everybody. Knocked every single piece out of the park. No problems at all. No, it was good. It was a good season. I took some time, not exactly completely off, like I'm never totally off, but I took some time away from full-time gear design last year to work on our short film Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
So I started being a little bit more selective about who I could work on and who I could provide gear for, because Robert will tell you, like, doing a half-assed job for anybody doesn't help anybody at all.
No.
So I had a few open slots. I always take care of New Day. I always take care of DIY. But some of the people that I had planned to work with, I had to kind of pull out just because I just didn't have time to do it, unfortunately. It all worked out for those people. They all looked great. So it was good. But I'm super proud of I think totally I did like 2 sets, but they're both tag teams. So the 4 pieces I did, I'm really, really happy with the way they came out. Mania was like pretty crazy as always, but like I've had crazier in the past. So for me, I am joking by saying it was like a breeze, like no problem, but it was like a little bit easier for me just because I had other work that I had to work on.
Robert, you were getting the last time we spoke, you were getting the new equipment and big printing machines, and I don't know whether expanding the shop or how things went for you. How did everything go? No
you
hiccups.
Just let the cat out of the bag. Yes, we are expanding. That was the post of Here We Grow Again last week. We're getting bigger. There's some. I'm not going to completely say what we're doing. There's things on the horizon that's going to change how things are done in a major way. It will especially make our end of the job easier. Jonathan, with all of his many talents, is going to be able to pull off some stuff that I can tell you right now, there's no gear makers right now do what we're about to do. So with that being said, and we're just going to leave it there. I'm always envious of Jonathan, because once he's done, and I'm not discrediting anything that he does, because it takes a while to draw and come up with the talent and the vision that he gives, and because he's working with the guys really more hands-on than what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see some things that maybe we think should be changed or something, and Jonathan has always said, this is just a roadmap. You do what you want to do and go with it. Make it more visually stunning once they're putting it on. So once he's done and hands it off to us, or hands it to the guys, they okay it, and it comes to us, we're the one is like up until the last hour before we have to ship to get it to WrestleMania. This year, though, I will say this
Oh, I
year
was gonna
wasn't
say
so
that I
hard.
love to mess with you a little bit because I like to call them like at the 11th hour and just be like, because I'm done. My job's like I'm tip of the spear. Like I get stuff done immediately, and then it's up to them to execute. So like I like to call sometimes with like a tropical drink in my hand. I'm like, how things going, you guys? Going pretty smooth? Is it nice down there? Seems good. Piece of cake, easy. So it's pretty fun.
You was actually on vacation, was you not? Like, didn't you
Probably
have your
was.
family outing?
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Spring break.
always the week of Mania. So if there's anything that I need done, he's like, I'm out in the woods. I'm like, thanks, Jonathan.
I'm gone.
I
I've done what I can
advise
do.
you over the phone, but I can't draw anything.
Yeah, there's no drawing. Maybe he can go out and like find some sand out in the woods. He could draw with his fingertip on this.
Smoke
is what
signals. I like to send smoke signals.
There you go. I agree with Jonathan. The DIY throwback to DX was fun. This year, there wasn't a lot of us having to come up with ways to how to do the things. So once Jonathan gave us the concepts, and then we looked at the old Shawn Michaels, is 97 in your house, D-Generation. Looked at that. I actually got some good references from WWE pictures. And so, and then Johnny was like, just make it. He really wanted his best. And that's actually the real concept, was the best. And so, but we couldn't get it to flow right to make it the buckles and everything. And it really looked well. So I was like, we're just going to have to go with more of what Shawn wore and then just change a little bit of the metal work. And then there was this time Gargano he said to do crystals. So he's like, put some rhinestones in there. And we've never had to do rhinestones before with his stuff. So I was like, okay, all right, we're going to go all out with this.
There was metal hinges, wasn't there? There was hinges, not just buckles. There was actual hinges that.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Was that someone he asked for, or someone you said, "Oh, it'll be easier to open with cold metal hinges on a cold day out in Philadelphia"?
Well, first off, we had to. So the metal hinges, of course, is not our idea. It wasn't Jonathan's. So you'll have to give credit where credit is due. Julie Youngberg, seamstress at WWE, was always done Shawn's gear. Yeah. And her sister is Terry Anderson. They're phenomenal at what they do. They're like, if you could see or had the opportunity, like I had the opportunity to look at Shawn's gear up close, the stuff that Terry done for like Undertaker and everything. And when you see the stuff up close and what they do, you're like, wow, the talent is phenomenal. It's just, so then you have to replicate what Julie has made for Shawn in 97 and get it as close as possible, because she was good. She's good at what she does.
Say, Johnny's probably regretting not getting sleeves on that jacket now, because we were talking before we started recording. He had his vlog up from WrestleMania, and when he did the unboxing, and Candice was in the room with him when he was doing it, and they were in Philadelphia when he unboxed it. I think it was on the Tuesday before WrestleMania that he actually saw it for the first time, and they realized how cold it was going to be in Philadelphia while he was wearing that gear. So he wishes he had some long sleeves or something underneath it.
I heard.
So you were in the crowd, correct?
Yeah. So we went on a travel package with a company called Wrestle Tours based in the UK. The owners of Progress Wrestling, they run it. So I ended up in a box seat in one of the suites higher up, which is something I'm not used to. Like we're normally in either cheap seats or somewhere with restricted views. You know, we're all stuck behind somebody pouring drink on top of us for no reason. But this time we were in a fancy suite with a fridge full of beer and pizzas and the works. But they have the glass panels in front, but you can't hear anything, so they all fold back. The minute they folded back on night one, I know when they folded them back, we were just hit by a cold breeze. So we had hoods up, and we were sitting there going, "Oh, this is awesome!" So I can't imagine what it was like in the ring. I'm sure. I know that on commentary, when we came home and we watched back night one, and we were Michael Cole and Corey were talking about how cold they were and how cold the wrestlers were. So I can't imagine what Johnny and the rest of the lads were like.
I was thinking about that when the ladies got up, because, you know, they have to wear like the skimpiest things in the world.
Mm.
And I heard an interview with Nick Khan where he was just talking about like upcoming WrestleMania and how it's going to be great. And the interviewer was like, yeah, in Philadelphia in March. And Nick Khan was like, he was saying, he's like, okay, full transparency. That deal was in place before I started taking over this thing.
Yeah.
That was not my call, but from now on, we're going to be more selective and aware of the environmental concerns before we start booking places.
Nick Khan was doing his best Gene Snitsky impression. Like, it wasn't my fault.
Not that we don't, none of us, me, Jonathan, have any type of insights of what they're doing there. But from what I've seen, it looks like the rumors are that they may be moving Mania to May.
I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, that would be good. I wish they'd just go back to one night. I know everybody likes the 2 nights, but the one night for us is so much easier to try to get stuff done and out.
Yeah.
Oh, just let it. It will never happen. Ever.
I know.
If anything, it'll go to 3 nights.
Yeah. If anything, they're saying that they want SummerSlam now to be 2 nights as well. And it's like, oh my God.
Oh, they are?
Well, I don't know if that's WWE saying, but that somebody was mentioning it online that there's rumors that they may, because they have so many people on their roster now and they're adding NXT as a third brand, that NXT may, you know, some of them, their stars may end up getting a spot in the rest of or SummerSlam this year. So.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I could see that. I hadn't heard that, but that makes perfect sense to me.
Mm. So it's wild at the minute. I don't know whether it's going to be Vegas or Minneapolis, or if they've made up their mind of what they're going to do.
I'm willing to bet it's going to be Vegas.
I hope it is.
So what night was your favorite?
Oh, night two, hands down, was wicked. I think you know, the street fight match with the Pride and Karrion Kross's group, like it wasn't really built as a WrestleMania feud. Like they've been feuding since, you know, October, November time, and we didn't really sure. You know, I think it was more to get Bobby on the card and Street Profits, because they, you know, they deserve to be on a WrestleMania card. They should be getting bigger moments. But whenever Bully Ray came out for that match, I think they really livened the crowd up. They weren't expecting to have somebody like this in it, and you know, really got it. I think it really woke up the crowd for night two. Everybody got really into the second night, and after that, I think they were just hooked for the rest of the show, knowing what was coming of the main event. It was just crazy.
I enjoyed it. Same thing. I think like night one solid, but the whole time you're thinking about the thing you really want to see, which you know is like a full 24 hours away. And so what I didn't like about this, the end of the previous era, and this is not me treading new ground, everyone says this, it's like when they had Roman on top and he has the belt, you know he's not going to drop it. You know this. And the fun is surprise. And if you're not going to be surprised, then, you know, your excitement levels drop, you get a little bit bored, right? So it's anytime you already know the outcome, it takes a little bit of the edge off, you know? Yeah. And I feel like the headlining match of night one, we all knew how it was going to end, because that's the only way to set up night two.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just waiting. You're waiting to see how it goes. Will The Rock say anything crazy? Will anybody do anything neat? But like, other than that, you're kind of like, you know, the ending already. So it wasn't as exciting. Night two is, I think, when everybody was like, this thing we've been waiting for what, 5 years or something might actually happen. And I think that's what fueled a lot of the excitement for me, at least from my perspective.
I think everybody fantasy booked it as well. They wanted the chaos at the end. I think everybody wanted as overbooked match as you could get.
I heard that, yeah.
Outside of Stone Cold, but I don't know what happened there, but I'm sure it would have been a hell of it may have overshadowed Cody's fucking moment of Stone Cold had it come out. He might have got a bigger pop than Cody.
Possible.
I read that the Undertaker spot was supposed to be in Stone Cold. That's what I read, but like I said, don't have no insights, and that's just probably fans hoping that that's what it was going to be. Who knows? It would have been awesome if there had been a Stone Cold there, just to have that what's the word I'm looking for? A throwback.
Yeah.
Rock and Stone Cold and everything. And then them face off there in the middle, that place would have erupted. And you would have been there.
True.
You would have seen it.
Oh, people, we were all waiting for the glass to shatter. Everybody was saying it when Cena came out. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's actually going to happen. Rock's coming out. Stone Cold's going to come out. It's going to go mad." And
Sorry. I just gotta say this thing. 2 bits. So one, and I only bring this up now because I know Robert is a huge horror guy. Are you a horror guy, Jerry?
Yeah, big time.
Okay. So you remember when Seth comes out and he's dressed in Shield garb, and so he messes with Roman, he's out, and then Roman has that decision point where it's like finish the match with Cody or take some revenge out on Seth. Great storytelling. So cool. Were you guys with me? Did it make you think about Friday the 13th when Corey Feldman shaves his head and comes out, and it's like just a psychological ploy to mess with Jason, just to get in his head and kind of freak him out. It's like, hey, remember this? Remember how you used to be? I was like, this is straight out of the Friday the 13th playbook, and I love it for that.
I didn't even cop that until now.
I didn't think of that either, but you just bringing up Corey Feldman in our Heat and Wrestling podcast. Look, me and Jonathan has put it on our bucket list that we're going to a Corey Feldman concert.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
you're coming too, Jerry. So clear.
Yeah, I
clear
love Corey Feldman. I grew up, we grew up in the 80s with Corey Feldman. I haven't seen.
Have you watched his concert?
No, I haven't seen any of his music at all.
Don't do it. Just wait when we call you and we're like, we got the tickets. Like, don't do any going cold. Like, don't do any research. It's going to make it even better for you. The second thing about Mania Night 2, and this might tie into He-Man, is like the ending of it was very much like the ending of He-Man Revelations. Revolution. Yeah. Where it's like everyone who had fallen before and was dead came back to join the battle. It was amazing. It was amazing.
That's something I was writing notes. So the second time I watched the Revolution, like I was writing a lot of notes. And I was like, there's a lot of wrestling references in this show. Like there was talks about whenever Tila, it wasn't Tila, or maybe Tila or somebody else mentioned she was looking after the dragon. Sorry, his name has skipped my mind there for a split second.
His name would be Granamir. That's
Granamir
the dragon. Yes.
She was looking after him, and Tila showed up, and she said, "Is this a work, or are you really looking after him?" kind of thing. And
yes.
I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. She said it's a work. This is a wrestling reference. What's going on?
It's crazy when you realize once you know wrestling lingo and you're keyed into it, like it's everywhere. I remember like during our last election cycle over here, people were talking about things being kayfabe, and it was like, what? There's a new Transformers comic run from Skybound right now. The guy who's writing and drawing it is a huge wrestling fan, and there are so many, like Optimus Prime, like clotheslines Starscream. He suplexes him. Starscream, like in the comic, Megatron is like out of commission, and Starscream, like the end of the run, he's like, "I'm Decepticon leader. Then, now, forever." Like that's how the comic ends. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
Oh my God. Well, let's go back to your He-Man childhood. When did your love for He-Man start, Robert? Were you watching obviously they're watching the Saturday morning cartoons? Was He-Man your go-to cartoon?
Well, I don't think He-Man was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, really?
I think correct during the week, if I remember correctly. It come out in what, 80?
I don't remember what year, but you're right, Robert. It was because I watched it after school.
Yes, because on the lineup for me when I come home from school, it was like Heathcliff. Oh man, I think there was like there was some other cartoon. It was Heathcliff, another cartoon. Then He-Man finally came on. Then after He-Man, I think it was like the rerun of Wonder Woman and Good Times. No, it was Good Times first, then Wonder Woman, because the Good Times show would end and the Wonder Woman stars would fly. How I remember these things, I don't know.
We can cut all this if you need to.
Yeah.
Robert Trevor, remember the lineup of the afternoon syndicate?
Yeah, you cut that out. That's now I feel like
No way. That's
Hold on,
quality.
it was Heathcliff. Hold on, I got it. Heathcliff, then Saved by the Bell, then
let me go back to the charts and figure out what the TV run times were back then in the 80s. I think I loved He-Man when it originally came out. I don't remember. I mean, that and the Superpowers. That was my go-to cartoons when I was little. And of course the figures come out first before the cartoon. But I will say this. I cannot go back and watch the original cartoon.
why not?
I tried it.
Talk to me about that.
Well, it's corny.
Yeah, that led to this. Actually, when I mentioned it, we did a 80s cartoons episode a few months back, and He-Man was one of them, and it got bad reviews off everybody on the show.
So this is the reason I'm so smarmy in this exact moment is because if you remember we were talking about before the show started about the specialty items you get from Temu.
Mm-hmm.
This is me with Robert. I'm just doing this, giving him the little speed bag because he likes to complain about changes they make to his precious canon. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. But like, the new stuff doesn't overwrite the old stuff. There's like 130 He-Man episodes. You can watch it anytime. And then like a week later, he came back and went, so I tried to watch the old He-Man and I can't do it. So I was like, you can't hate the new thing for being different. And you can't watch the old thing because you hate it. Like it's somewhere in there. There's love for He-Man. You got to lean into the love.
We're going to look. My love for He-Man is my memories of it, watching it in the living room and all the adventures that He-Man went on with my action figures.
Right.
And I always have the memories of Saturday morning when you got not Saturday morning, Christmas morning when you got the newest He-Man figures and all out.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's just those things. That's why I have a wall full of the figures now. I tell Jonathan all the time, if you see this figure out, let me know and I'll send you the money for it. But I've gotten behind on the figures because COVID really put getting the figures behind because you couldn't find them.
Yeah.
And now they just started rushing out all these different series of figures. I'm like, what the crap? Quit because you're costing me way too much money.
Right.
But it's the memories of it for me. And because I can't remember episodes. There's some shows that I can remember episodes of. I can't remember episodes of He-Man.
There were a lot of them, and they
there were a lot.
they recycled animation all the time. So like no one can blame you if like it merges into one long episode in your brain. In fact, the only reason I remember Granomir is that was that name is because that was one of the episodes that stood out to me. Do you remember Granomir was in the original series?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
Sitting up. If you look at a picture, you'll be time traveled immediately back. He's like, remember he like sat there, he was upright, he had this big belly and a Viking helmet on. And like that was so weird to me that he had this Viking helmet on. It stuck in my head. So like I always remember Granomir. So then he shows up in this show. And I was like, before they even show him, like, that's him. That's Granomir. And he sounds like Q. And he was Q. So that's pretty awesome too.
He sounds like who?
Q from Star Trek Next Generation. I can't remember the actor's name. What's the actor's name?
I'm not sure. No, I don't have it here. I can't remember.
I'm not a Trekkie, so.
Oh, okay. Well, he's great.
I'm going to take your word for it.
And yeah, so that was, I don't know, that was part of what I really liked about this new reboot is like, I feel like they pulled from everything. And Robert, you know this because like, at the beginning, when they're showing the title, it's like the red rocks sort of exploding. It's like, that's from the original 80s packaging of the toy, That's really cool. They pulled from the Dolph Lundgren movie. They pulled from the cartoon. They even pulled from, look, I've got it here. I brought props. They even pulled from this bad boy.
Nice.
Oh, I have that. Are you
Like
sending me that?
there's lines on this record that were referenced in the new cartoon. It was so cool.
No way. I don't have that. I need to get my hands on that.
I've been holding on to this for years. I had a big record, kids record collection at my mom's house, and I recently went over and grabbed them all. So like they're still intact.
Crazy.
So, of course, while we're doing our podcast, they're moving a large heat press into my shop. That's what they're doing now. So if you hear all the commotion, that's what's happening.
I have not heard it, but like a lot of these, are you on your phone?
I'm on my iPad.
Okay, I think that has noise canceling features. So like if it starts making background noise, it'll mute it out.
It's not the motherboard coming in to take over, is it?
Oh, we're going to get to that.
What before we get into Revolution? What were your thoughts on Revolution? It got a lot of slack. People didn't seem to like it when it came out in 2021. I actually only went back to watch it before we watched Revolution just to get myself up to speed. But the science versus sorcery aspect of it, take versus magic on Revelation. What were your thoughts on that?
Look at Robert's face. You can tell his thoughts. Look at him. Look at him.
Jonathan, you want to take that first?
I'll do my take. So I understand why people did not like it. And I think it's very similar to kind of the sentiments Robert's feeling. It's like, this was the first one. If they reversed it, if the tone of the second one, if they'd done that first and then did the tone of the first one second, I think people would have been a lot more accepting of it because it was a departure from what you had felt before. And I think what people wanted from this was nostalgia. I think that they're like, oh, we haven't had a new He-Man cartoon in who knows how many years. I just want to feel that again. And they started that, but in episode 1, I believe, they're like, okay, and now we're going to take a hard left turn and tell you a brand new story. And I think it was too soon for people. Like if they'd given you a full nostalgia bath season and then second season change things up, I think people would have been more receptive to it. That said, pulling back, like zooming out and looking at both seasons back to back and seeing where they ended very happily and everybody was good. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, I don't know why people hated Tila. I don't think they hate Tila, but I think that you got to remember, we were also like on the tail end of like a strong, like woke, anti-woke battle in the culture. And I think that people like looked at that and were like, see, now they've taken He-Man. And I think that a lot of people took it and made it into a cause, review bombed it, and then created monetized content on YouTube from it. Like, I think there were a lot of factors there. But if you take all that out and you just look at it in a vacuum, I think it's a fine story. I thought it was cool. Like, it's the same thing they did with, did you guys watch Succession at all?
Yeah.
Great show.
Brilliant
but
show.
Last season, remember they did that twist. They were like,
out
let's
of
see
nowhere,
what it would be like without this character.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are these people without him? They're defined by him. Take this character out. Now who are they on their own? I think that's cool. Same thing with the X-Men 97, taking Professor X out. Now, granted, that started in 96.
Yeah.
But like, who are you without your leader? I think there's a lot of merit to that form of storytelling. And I think they were doing that. People just weren't on board.
Okay, so I'm not going to be that detailed and that long. I love the story. The story I thought was great. I don't like mixing the technology into like the sorcery and the magic. I've talked to Jonathan as soon as it came out. I asked him what he thought of how it's. Of course, he's a artist as far as drawing and everything. He liked it. I could not stand the fact of how Skeletor is drawn. I hated that the Havoc staff was in his arm. I didn't like it. I didn't like how they changed the way Orko looked.
I think that's extra funny that he's like going to be present for this entire talk because he's behind Jerry.
Because it's like where Jonathan said, you want the nostalgia. I want the nostalgia. You can revamp them, draw them in different styles if you want to, other than is it manga? Yeah. I don't like that style of drawing. But keep them looking similar to what they already are. That's my thing. So when they change Orko into this new look with the big gigantic yellow eyes, I wasn't feeling it on that one. Not at all.
What did you think, Jerry?
Yeah, like you said earlier, it was just completely thrown out with the woke movement, and like you're killing off He-Man basically, like, you know, even though he was in, you know, Eternia, like, you know, he was there in the back of your mind, you know, you kind of knew he was going to come back at some stage, but it was just like nostalgia was gone whenever he was killed off. It was just I couldn't get into it. I wasn't really sure what the direction was. If they had, you know, was this just a once off? Did they plan to make, you know, Revolution afterwards to, you know, win people back? You know, tell the story of Revolution to get to Revolution. I'm not really sure if that was the long-term plan, but I just couldn't deal with the fact that, you know, you're watching Masters of the Universe and He-Man wasn't there. It just didn't make any sense.
It's tough. But what's weird is, like, when they killed Superman, I don't remember the same. Like, I don't know.
Backlash.
There was like a venom in the air when they killed off He-Man for 5 episodes, but then they killed off Superman for a full year. Like, there wasn't. I don't remember any of that. I think everybody was like, "Oh, I'm interested to see how this goes because I'm kind of bored with Superman." You know?
Yeah, I think it was more like the He-Man was the only person, and, you know, in the show, like, he's the only person, like, he's the hero. Like, Superman is in, you know, obviously he's the strongest hero in DC, like, but there's other people, you know, that could take over the mantle just for a while, like, but there was nobody in you know, Greyskull or the Masters of the Universe that had his powers.
Can you imagine the sheer intensity of the backlash if they had killed He-Man and transferred his power to Teela the way you're describing? Like, your pitch would have destroyed the earth.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing.
They would have hated it much.
Kevin Smith would have won it, and Hayden, you'd never seen him again, I don't think.
Yeah, that's right. Just to piggyback off of something Robert said, I'm not against the magic technology thing in theory, but I do feel like it's a little like, now I know they kind of hinted at it in, forgive me, I was getting mixed up, in Revelation. Mm-hmm. They really leaned into it in Revolution. I'm not against it, but I think that it's a little out of turn. Like, I think they're rewriting history a little bit, because since the beginning, the whole cool, like, concept of, like, the Masters of the Universe was that magic and technology worked together seamlessly. And they kind of never really referred to it. It's like, we have magic and an attack track. You know, we have, so, like, it was like, just kind of like, yeah, technology is our tools and magic is our powers. And it wasn't like, there was never a war. There was never, like, the way they'll lay out in Revolution. They'll say, like, you know, for a time, we all relied on technology, and then we relied on magic, and now the two have never been together. It's like, that's not true. It's always been a perfect amalgam of the two things. Like, I would like it if they kind of created a rift. That would have been cool. Like, if that was in the story, like, users of magic and users of technology somehow split and you had to choose or something like that. But saying that it's always been that way come on now. We've all watched.
Now, I could get with the splitting of the magic and the technology. I can see that.
That'd be cool.
I think another thing for me, and I just actually thought of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. They really, when you've got Skeletor and everything, they split his group up. So you don't see Skeletor with Beastman.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see Skeletor really with Evil Lyn. You did in the beginning. But in this second season, when they showed Evil Lyn, I didn't for sure know who she was because she didn't look like Evil Lyn.
Yeah.
And then finally somebody said her name. I was like, is that Evil Lyn? So they went away from what we were used to with the main characters being together. Like, there was no merman. So
not in the second one.
No. Yeah, not in the second one. It was in the first one. So you don't see any of that. And I'm like, why are we why we strayed so far away from that. And then I don't remember a lot about Hordak, and I don't know why. I think wasn't he in the end of the series?
I don't even know if he showed up in He-Man. He was on the She-Ra show.
He was.
That's right.
He was only actually. I think it was from the '87 movie, Dolph Lundgren movie. He was in that because he didn't have the technology or didn't have the funds to have. He was a replacement for Orko. They could. Orko wasn't in the.
No.
You're thinking of Gwildor.
Oh, sorry, Gwildor. Right.
Yeah.
What do I say?
He's talking about Hordak, the skull. Look, he was like Skeletor's master.
Yeah,
in this,
sorry, yeah.
And he was the main villain from the She-Ra show.
And I don't guess that I picked up. So was Hordak Skeletor's master in the old cartoons, or they just changed that?
I believe they retconned that. I'd have to go back and look, but I don't believe that was the case. I remember them being two separate things. Now, there was the He-Man She-Ra movie animated where they were together. It's possible that they laid out some origin there with a relationship between Hordak and Skeletor. I don't remember that special very well.
Well, it looks like they're on the trajectory of making Hordak superior to Skeletor.
It makes perfect sense because Kevin Smith, if there's one thing that he loves more than anything else, it's Star Wars. So he needs Darth Vader and he needs an Emperor. He just plugged them right in.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked out.
Sense, and I'm okay with it. I'm all right with that. Just let's not kill Skeletor off and make him look like he's lesser than to build up Hordak.
I agree. I will say that I agree with you. Like, I don't love Skeletor's newest design. The arm thing. Skeletech, yeah. I do like the old school Mattel mentality. If anytime there's a new version, he gets a new name. I'm fine with that. Skeletor, Skelegod, Skeletech. Whatever. I'm fine with that. But you mentioned the Havoc Staff arm. I'm with you. Like, on paper, cool idea. I don't think it was pulled off perfectly. I think he had like very thin, like narrow bird-like legs too, which I didn't love. So I don't love that design. I honestly didn't even love his design in Revelation. Don't know why, but I'm very much a fan of the Filmation model. So that's kind of like where I want things to be. That said, I loved every iteration of Teela in both series. Like, they did a quasi classic one at first where she looked pretty cool. Then I like Rogue Warrior Teela with the shaved head and the armor, cool look. And this one, she was like kind of back to form, and then she had the snake form. They finally incorporated that into canon. And then she had that crazy, like, on the sorceress look and the goddess look at the end. She went through so many action figures. I thought they were all great.
But she turned heel a few times since she went back to babyface. There was a lot of, again, go back to wrestling references. Like, a few people in this, both series were doing that. Even Skeletor and He-Man teamed up at one stage, and it was like, this can't be happening. Like, he can't be a good guy even for one episode. Like, but thankfully they went back to the, in Revolution they went back to the classic tale of He-Man versus Skeletor, and Skeletor is trying to take over Eternia and get rid of He-Man. And this is the nostalgia thing of this season. This is why I like this so much, is back to just the basics. I think I'm not sure the animation itself, they were using some of the original He-Man animation in this, and they just use CGI just to enhance some of the scenes. Have you seen any of that, or did you pick up on that?
I don't know. That's a Johnson question.
I didn't read anything about that, but I bet I'm about to contradict Robert. I really like the style. It's very appealing to me. I screenshotted a lot of it because I was like, I love the way they drew that eye. That's amazing.
You're not going to contradict me because I wasn't going to talk about the drawing or the art form, but I wish they would actually have Cringer the way Cringer was in the old cartoon, because in the old cartoon he was afraid of everything and scared until he turned to Battle Cat. But he just kind of stays looking the same, but he gets bigger.
Let me just paraphrase. So what Robert wants is a 2024 multi-million-dollar animated cartoon where Cringer is like, but Adam, I didn't go in there. That's what he wants. He's excited about that.
Yes, that's what I want. Give me the Cringer of the 80s in
You want
24.
Cringer of old. Yes, of course.
Yes.
I did notice something on this one. It was interesting. I believe in the 80s cartoon, Cringer, like he speaks as Cringer and he speaks as Battle Cat. Because I remember he was like, "Boop, boop," and then he was like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," right? And this one, did he speak as Battle Cat ever? I don't think he did.
I don't think so. It sounded
Yeah.
like the same, yeah. I didn't pick up on that, I think.
Yeah, I think he talks as Cringer and then goes Battle Cat and he's like full cat or something. It's pretty interesting.
Trap Jaw.
Since we're here.
Yeah. They had Trap Jaw in the first season, and you ain't seen them since.
Yeah. It's a big cast though. I'll say this. I did not in season 1, they did some things that I didn't love where, okay, so Robert, I know you didn't love Triclops being like, he was like full on tech in the first one, right?
Yes. Yep.
Is that right? Yeah.
Or was it Trap Jaw?
Oh, which one was it? I don't know.
I think Trapjaw was full take.
You know?
I think Trapjaw. I think that didn't they catch him in the first episode and he went full take. Was he the first?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, it's so dumb because like the only way I can remember is I'm thinking about the action figures that I saw like at Target, and I'm like, I know that I saw Triclops with the ceremonial garb, so I know he was at least in it at the beginning. But did Trapjaw get converted at some point?
I think with the first episode, I think they brought him in the first episode and converted him straight away. He was the first one to convert.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
What did you make of Keldor? What did you make of the backstory of Skeletor being his uncle, and is this a real origin story?
Always been?
Was that revealed before?
I don't know. The only thing I knew for sure is that previous to being Skeletor, he was called Keldor and looked like that. I don't know about the uncle thing, but like you're like watching it, and forgive me if I'm getting my lore mixed up, but like you're watching it and you're like, this is exactly Thor, right? Exactly Thor. Like the king like adopted a little blue boy.
Yeah.
and he can't inherit the crown because he's not the right species, and like one grows up to be like super strong blonde dude and the other one grows up to be magic wielding conniver, and I was like, this is exactly Thor and Loki. And I don't know how much of that was there before and how much was like Kevin Smith like taking it into his pop culture brain, remixing it and applying archetypes to it. I don't know.
I never thought of that reference the way you said it, with it being Thor.
Yeah,
but you're right. I
It's
first
like,
thought of it, and you're going to laugh, was Mufasa and Scar from Lion King.
That's classic. That's as far back as like Hamlet, right? Like the uncle is always evil. But yeah,
did you not like him being the uncle?
I loved it. I thought it was a great plot line in the story, because we have known this tale of He-Man versus Skeletor for 40 years, but we've never really known Skeletor, like his backstory or what makes him Skeletor. So I thought it was a great, even though he didn't realize it until like later on in the season, like that he actually was. He didn't remember any of it. It was all taken away from him. So I thought it was great. And there is an option. He's never going to be the good guy, like, but if they're making 5 more episodes or something, like there's more there to tell of him battling his history and why he can't remember, and maybe having a war against the people who did that to him. So that's something that we may get later on.
I'd be down with that. Wasn't it interesting to get like Mark Hamill and William Shatner playing the same character? Like, that's pretty fascinating.
Captain
Kirk
and Luke Skywalker, Nerds Paradise.
When
I seen that, Shatner was playing, I was like, well, who have they got him playing? And then there was somebody, I I won't remember the character now, but somebody from the old series was a character this series, I believe.
I think Meg Foster, she played Evelyn in the 87 movie, and she actually did the voice for Motherboard in this.
That's right.
Yes,
that's
right.
it.
That's it. That's what I was thinking of.
That feels so good. I love that. They pulled Gwildor in, like you said, Jerry, from the Lundgren movie. They also, I feel like there was another Lundgren. Oh, there were a couple of lines. The "Let this be our final battle." That's from the Lundgren movie. They also, oh man, I'm gonna get it mixed up. Somebody fix it. But like, what's the legend of? I want to say, is it Pigman? Is it Pigman? Robert, you know. You know,
it's Pigman, but I don't know the legend.
In the 80s, when Canon was making the Masters of the Universe movie, part of their promotion was their, like, it was a sweepstakes. And if you win, you get to be in the Masters of the Universe movie. And some kid won.
No way.
And so they flew him out to Los Angeles, or probably Canada, wherever they were shooting. And they didn't have, it's a famously troubled production where like there were budget cuts. And like, in fact, you remember the whole final battle between He-Man and Skeletor takes place in a dark room because there was no money for the set. So they got this kid here and they didn't know what to do with him. And they're like, you're Pigman. So they just put him in this like crazy prosthetics. And he's just kind of walking around in the background every once in a while. And I think Pigman is in the cartoon too. So like, I love all the things that they pulled together.
I did not pick up on that.
So that's where the Pigman character comes from?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay. Because I was like, where does this, because I've got it. So where does this come from? Who is this guy? Because I didn't remember him from the TV series.
Right. No, that's the legend.
That's definitely a Kevin Smith thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, any Easter egg you can find.
Talking about things from pulling from the past.
Yeah.
So was Stinkor, was he in the original series, or there was not an original Stinkor character from the 80s? I mean, toy. Because I could have sworn I had a Stinkor toy.
You did. There was definitely a Stinkor toy in the 80s, and he had a smell to him, as I recall. Yes. I think he was on an episode, like The Menace of Stinkor or something like that, but I don't believe he was a regular.
Okay.
And he was also remolded from Merman.
Yes. Yeah, because I was like, I read that one time. I was like, I know there was a toy.
Yeah.
So I didn't know where that was coming from.
Yeah.
I have to know when.
Was Greyskull's story ever told in the 80s? I don't remember, when he went to Paternia and
King Greyskull?
Was his story ever told in the original cartoons?
To my recollection, there was no reference to him in the cartoon. But I believe in like Star Wars has expanded universe with novels and other things.
Yeah.
I believe that it could have been comics or something, whatever was going on past the cartoon. I think they started building that story up after that. And then I know that King Greyskull showed up in the, oh boy, I don't remember what it's called. Do you remember the He-Man cartoon that was, I can't even reference it, but like, it only went for like I think one season. It updated all the characters.
The one from like 2011 or something back then, was it?
Something like that. Yeah. I believe he was in there. I think
it was just Masters of the Universe, was it not?
Yeah, that's why it's hard to. It didn't have like a special name, so it's hard to reference what it was. There's the fridge.
Oh, throw me a beer.
Brought to you by.
But there was one thing I would be interested to know. This: did they reference the new Adventures of He-Man at all?
I don't think so.
That would have been the ultimate Easter egg. Like when he's in the future and he has a ponytail. It's the crappiest cartoon. It's no good.
Terrible.
But if they pulled anything from there, that would be like the ultimate stunt. That would be amazing.
Have a portal where he goes in like Deadpool kind of thing, and he goes over and just kills that version of him and comes back.
There you go. Go to another dimension, kill that He-Man version and Skeletor. Because I don't know what they was doing. You can still somewhat see a little bit of a He-Man references with the new character, the way he's drawn, but that whole Skeletor crap I was like, what is that? It's horrible. That might be where they got their technology stuff. Let's mix in this technology.
Because
that was That was technology in that one, right?
You're right. Maybe something in his design is a reference. Like maybe the Skeletor from the New Adventures of He-Man had something to him that they pulled in. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. Like it really felt like Lundgren's in there. It would have felt like they went all out to make sure that every corner of the fandom was referenced in some way.
Yeah. There was a lot of you could mix it up if you didn't know the lore of the history of He-Man, like if some child was watching it. I know they made the show. I know definitely Kevin Smith made a show for the 80s and 90s kids who grew up with it. Like, but if somebody's watching it now and they've never seen it, but they're used to watching, Marvel movies or anything, I think we just say, look, seems like it's just a branch off from Marvel. There's a lot of nanotech, from the Marvel. The story, the plotline, like you said at the start, like at the end of the last episode with them all coming together and coming from all over was just like Endgame. Basically at the end of it,
it's really just a remix of like everything you've ever liked. We're putting it together and applying it to He-Man. I will say I liked that in the second season. I feel like they cleaned up their own internal logic and rules with magic and stuff a little bit. In the first one, I feel like they were playing very fast and loose with stuff. Like, so the sword, right? Hold on. My letter opener. So the sword, He-Man holds it up, says the words, turns into He-Man.
Yeah.
That's what we all know, right? Then suddenly Skeletor gets the sword, holds it up, says the words, and gets some kind of power. And you're like, okay, makes sense. Cool. Never seen that before. Very neat. Evelyn, same thing. She also does it and gets the power. But then in that same season, they pull a thing where Adam's like, it was never the sword. The sword is a conduit. And then he does it without the sword and turns into the Hulk. Right? And you're like, well, wait a minute, guys. Is it the sword or is it not? You have to choose one of them.
I didn't like how he done the Hulk.
Yeah.
But they did explain that the sword kept it from him turning to the Hulk.
And it's a great concept. It's a really good concept. Yeah. It's a super good concept. But it also is like, okay, so then is Adam have the power and the sword refines it? Or does the sword, then if that's the case, how come Skeletor and Evelyn can also hold it and get power? It's a little muddy.
I don't know. Maybe if they'd be standing in a certain spot, plugged into some sort of USB port or something.
Yes. But overall, I would love to see that, honestly. Even if it was just a joke moment, even if it's only lasted 30 seconds and everybody was like, ew, he changed back. I would love to see that. I'd love to see what I like about that is it kind of implies that there's a He-Man version of every character. Yeah. And I being a design freak and an action figure junkie, I'd love to see all of them.
So when you open your mail, though, Jonathan, do you do it by the power of Greyskull?
Well, obviously. Yeah. What will be the point of having a sort of power letter opener if I don't invoke the power every time I open it? But you have to be careful because if you do it with a bill, you get a super powerful bill. So you don't want that.
You don't want your electricity bill.
Yeah. Only do it with checks.
Overall, what did you think anyway? Just as a show, what did you think of this these few episodes anyway? Obviously, we're hopefully getting more of them in the future.
Well, I do want more episodes. Overall, I like it. I like the story. The story's there. It's just if we can just kind of like what we said earlier and Jonathan said, can we separate the magic and the technology? I'm okay with the technology. Let's just get it away from the sorcery. Skeletor's a sorcerer. I'm really anxious to see what they're going to do with Hordak. That's what I'm really looking to see what they're going to do with him.
Yeah. I echo Robert's sentiments. I'm really happy with it. I think they did a great job. I love the look of it. To me, it's just one of the most beautifully drawn animated series ever, 2D. And it's so gorgeous. Yeah. I love looking at it. I like most of the character designs. I think the voice cast is great. I like the story. And I'm even down for, if they're going to make more, as long as there's more coming, then I'm down for whatever plot twist they want to do. If they want to make Skeletor forsake sorcery and embrace technology for a while, I think that's great. I think that sets up a neat return if he wants to do that, as long as they it's long-term storytelling. As long as we keep getting them, I'm in for it. I think it's great. I don't think they've done any harm. I don't think they've damaged the brand at all. I think they've made it cool.
And he keeps 2 normal arms.
And 2 normal arms. But there's also that it could be like, that's that weird, remember that weird time Skeletor when he had 1 arm? Yeah, don't bring that up.
That's a great impression. Like with, they kind of gave up the throne, didn't they? They're turning into a democracy, are they? For the next season or the next few episodes, so they're going to be down.
That was them grabbing the end of Game of Thrones, and it's so crazy. Every element is from something else.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so I don't know where you're at with that.
Oh, it ended just like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh,
pretty much.
Where they were like, maybe we shouldn't have a kingdom hierarchy. Maybe we should have Actually, they made it a joke. Now that I'm remembering it, somebody pitched that, and then they booed him. So, but He-Man actually went with it.
So I wonder, will they bring She-Ra in? Because she even brought in.
That's one thing that was kind of teased at the end. Was there was an end credit scene? Was that his? That was what was his sister? Is there the mate? Adam's sister?
I don't remember. I remember wanting it to be his sister back in the 80s, but I feel like they were like twin cousins or some weird thing like that. Yeah, but I don't know the deal. Here's some inside baseball. When we were doing He-Man Skeletor themed gear for the New Day, Kofi was going to be Skeletor, as he was, and Woods was going to be She-Ra, and that was going to be like kind of the fun of it, like the joke of it, like you'd expect it to be He-Man, but he's She-Ra. And it was one of the few times where we were working with WWE to make sure everything was cool. Usually we just kind of do our own thing, but because WWE has a deal with Mattel, it rolled out very smoothly, except that they were told that they can't do She-Ra because She-Ra is under some other licensing thing. Because if you remember, Netflix had a She-Ra show running that was its own continuity and its own thing, and it ran for like 5 seasons or something. So that's why Woods had to be He-Man. Like, we had to change it at the last minute. So I don't, in story, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be cool to bring She-Ra in, especially if like she's brainwashed or something and she's just as powerful as He-Man. You get to have a fight. That'd be awesome. But behind the scenes, I don't even know if they're allowed to. Don't know.
It's interesting. I didn't know that. And I don't think you even told me. I didn't know that. And if I did know, I forgot it. And that could be the case, that Woods was originally She-Ra.
It could also be that you were just so inundated with stuff. Sometimes I don't bother you with things because I know it's just going to explode your brain.
Well, Jonathan always puts notes in the emails of what this is this is that. I never read the notes. So he will get a hold of Patrick and message him and he's like, make sure Robert reads the notes, or you go read the notes on what I've put in there. Because there's been times I'll message Jonathan like, hey man, so-and-so, what are we doing here? He goes, did you read the email? I go, no, read the email. Okay.
How do you get anything done? How do we get anything done?
Skin of our teeth.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of luck.
That's our look into He-Man, the Masters of the Universe series on Netflix. If you haven't already watched it, make sure you go and watch it, because we hope, pretty sure there's going to be 5 or maybe 10 more episodes coming soon. I'm sure Kevin Smith has got his mind working and looking at other shows for reference. Maybe he's looking at X-Men 97 for references, or maybe he's looking at Fallout or anything else that's on TV at the moment. Hopefully we'll be back once Wolverine and Xavier and everybody has come back together in X-Men 97. We may sit back down and discuss it. Myself and Jonathan will anyway. Maybe we can get Patrick on if he wants to sit down and talk about the X-Men, but maybe myself and Robert, if Jonathan gets a chance to watch Fallout, we may come back and watch do our spot on that as well. Lads, have you what go ahead, Robert, sorry, go ahead.
He's slacking. Jonathan's slacking on Fallout.
They're very short episodes. They're very quick.
Cool. Yeah.
What have we got coming up? WrestleMania season's over now. Everything's after calming down, but I'm sure you're still being inundated with demands for gear or anything else. Robert,
Usually after Mania, it slows down, but this year it has not slowed down for us. I think Jonathan's got some stuff coming down that he's working on now. So I don't know have you slowed up any, Jonathan, or is it just seems like it's
No, it's kind of stayed at the same level. I think because there's so much renewed enthusiasm for the brand now. I think performers are happier, and happy performers are encouraged to come up with new ideas and do stuff. We're working on some DIY stuff right now that's like pretty cool. And one of the first times in recent memory, I just kind of hand sketched this one just for fun. Like I'm kind of breaking it up a little bit. So like that's going to be pretty cool. In fact, that's what I have to hop on when we get off of this. New Day's next set will be very much, I believe, plugged into some of the magic that Robert was referencing at the beginning of the call. So that should be kind of mind-blowing. I'm really excited to sharpen some skills and learn some new things to work on that. So that'll be really neat. And other than that, as always, you guys can find me on Instagram at Davenport, where I post all my goings on and interact with you guys and answer questions. It's fun.
And before we cut out too, we're talking about, go watch Master Universe and everything else. I'm going to have to, because I don't think Jonathan will do this himself, but we're going to have to put Jonathan over. Go check out Bridges.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Unreal.
It's my youngest daughter. She's 4. She's always like, I want to watch Jonathan's show. She doesn't know it's Bridges. So I'll go, who? Because she's missing her 4 front teeth. I'll go, who? She goes, your friend Jonathan. I want to watch his show. Larkin will watch this show over and over and over. And when it first dropped, we was all in there watching it. So well done. So well at telling the history. And I know it means so much to Jonathan, and it means so much to Big E. And it's to know these guys and to see that the heart that they put into this show and everything, to tell the history there. I can't give enough props, and they've nailed it on this show. Loved it, every bit of it.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
For the side of the world, like, we don't have to experience what you have to experience in that, and what she would have had gone through, like something like that would never have happened over here, for any time. So, to tell a story that was never really told on this side of the world, to find out what you went through, it was so touching, and the way you told it was just so well done. I don't know who wrote the script, or was it yourself who wrote the script, Jonathan? You wrote everything outside, to come up with that idea, and to tell it that way, not just the standard backstory of someone, but to tell it through the eyes of someone else. It was so well done, and it just touched me. And I definitely, like your daughter, I've watched it a lot of times. So I've gone back and watched it, and I love watching all the shorts as well on YouTube that you keep putting up. So unreal stuff, and congratulations on being nominated for an award. Has it been listed for any other awards coming up, any other shows coming up? It's going to be
funny enough, I got a text late last night that it just won best animation in a festival last night. So I haven't really gotten to look into it yet because I've been busy today. But yeah, so we just won something. I'll look into it, but it's pretty exciting. It's like today's been super hectic, and I'm kind of jumping from like call to call to call, activity to activity. So I saw that, and I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling me. Like, you go to bed a regular schmo and you wake up an award winner. So thank you.
Brilliant.
But yeah, so
awesome.
yeah, it's doing well, and we have some calls with various like production companies and studios talking about the possibility of expanding the universe and telling more of those stories. So I'll keep you guys posted like when we make some progress.
And have we got a release date for F Plus?
Go ahead.
I was just saying, have we got a release date yet for F Plus?
No, it's driving me crazy because it's, as far as I know, it's done. I think the effects were like 99% finished. It's going to another market. I think, is this May yet? Sometime in early May. And I know that at least 3 streamers are still considering it. So we'll see who comes in with an offer first.
Sweet.
See, we can't even keep up with the months anymore. We just get up, we go to work, and that's it.
Febtober.
It's also cool getting to the bridges, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, Jonathan. This really started when you guys done the Our Heroes Rock gear, right? That's
Gear.
where this really started coming up from. And
it's crazy. Like Robert was there at the origin of this idea. Like he physically made the gear that like spawned this entire endeavor.
Yeah, because a bunch of the characters that you were sending, because I was a history major and all, I'm looking at it and I was like, oh, I didn't know the story of everybody, but a lot of the stories I did know. And I was like, this is so freaking awesome that they're doing this to give a positive spin through their ability and Jonathan's talent. It's just so to see it coming from that. And that was what, Jonathan, 5 years ago, maybe?
Probably. Yeah. It was like it was 2020. So almost 4 years ago.
No, I think it's pre-pandemic.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah.
I think we were in the old shop. I think we were in the old shop.
That's right.
That was one of the last things that we done before we moved into the new shop.
You're exactly right. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, you're right.
So to see it come from that to now that you've got this award-winning show for something that you guys love and that you've poured your heart and soul into it, kudos. I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
To know y'all personally too, to see what you're doing. I can't wait to see if there's more episodes. We need a full motion picture. I'll carry your.
I would love that.
That would be crazy. I would
put that out there, guys. Put that out there.
Let's
get it going.
You have the power, Jonathan. You have the power. You have the power.
I have sleep aids.
That absolute pleasure having you on again. It's been a pleasure to go back talk some nostalgia about He-Man and our love for the Masters of the Universe. And whenever Kevin Smith decides to release any more episodes, we'll be back to talk about those and everything else, nerdy as we can be.
Love it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, lads, having you on. We will definitely talk to you again soon. Lads, as always, like, comment, subscribe. This will go out on both our Top of the Pods channel and our Irish Wrestling Podcast channel because there's a bit of both in it. So make sure you subscribe to both those channels, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks, guys.